can see, the scratch is gone, and we got a decent luster back. So we're going to get started. I want to lubricate the surface. Now this is different than the natural stone, that we are going to actually maintain a slurry throughout the process. We don't want it to get too dry. We don't want to generate any heat because that could possibly damage the resin. It of course wouldn't affect the aggregate, however it could possibly damage the resin. So we're just going to put a decent amount on there, not a whole bunch. You don't need a lot. We just want to create a uniform slurry. Finish with these pads. So now I'm going to take my first 4-inch pad, and I like to label those. That way, number 1, ES. So if you do have the natural stone system, you don't want an intermixture of the natural stone with the engineered stone. The engineered stone being an alloy, meaning that it contains both an aggregate substance, quartz, glass, crushed rock, and then of course a resin base, which is an acrylic alloy base for the resin that creates the main body of the stone. So anyway, we don't want to mix those. So I will write on here on the back, usually I write ES for engineered stone, what grit I've designated it for. In this case we're going to be doing 8,000. Put 8, and I put a number 8 on there. That way I know that it's an 8,000 pad for engineered stone. I'm going to place the pad on here. I'm going to take and allow this to mix around here. And just like I did before, I'm going to turn on the machine and gradually float into the surface of the stone. Alright, now I'm going to check the surface and just see where we're at, if we need to go again or not. Darker stones do take more time, lighter stones are usually not apt to take as much time. I'm feeling the surface here, and as I wipe it down, it's actually starting to feel fairly similar. So, continue to clean this. Free of all debris here. So after the 8,000, we're starting to get a much clearer picture here. I can actually see on the outside edges here, in particular, where it's already starting to really come in. So what we're going to do here, I think at this point, is we're going to go ahead and move into the 14,000. As you can see, it's just gets better with every pass. So once you're done with each pass there, and you've finished up that particular compound, take your pad and in either a bucket or under running water, use your brush and clean the surface of the pad. As I was explaining before, this will remove the resin, which we've actually been polishing and removing off the surface here. That'll remove it from the pad so that the next time you use it, you will have the texture necessary on the pad so that you can regain the texture within the engineered stone. Alrighty, well, going to move into the 14,000 grit. Same procedure. With the surface, take your 14,000, which either came with your complete ES kit or from your natural stone restoration kit. Apply it to the surface. And put your labeled ES pad 14 on there so that you know that you're using the Engineered Stone pad 14,000 grit, making sure it's adhered good to the backer, and we'll mix this around and get it to make a slurry. And once again, glide it into the surface. I'm now going to wet the surface and add a bit more compound here. And once again, gliding into the surface. Okay, for the purpose of the video, I just wanted to demonstrate how crucial it is that you go through each of the grits completely as much as possible until you don't see any discernible difference in the surface quality. Once you've exhausted each grit, that is the time to move on to the next grit. Most instances, it won't take this long, especially your lighter colored stones. However, the darker ones, may take longer. It's all reacted to the manufacturer and what sort of compounds and so forth that the resin of the stone is made of that may determine whether it's a longer period or a shorter period of time. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and clean this pad. I have a bucket of water here, and I'm simply going to take the pad and kind of dip it in the water a little bit, grab my fingernail brush, and with an agitation motion, I just want to loosen this up and clean the resin out of the surface, float it out. This is also going to gain the texture back on the pad so that we can continue using it if necessary. So, just a little agitation there. These processes is what helps you to attain that snakeskin texture of the engineered stone. So it's imperative that we do have a mild texture to the pad. If you find that your pad is flattened out, then it would be necessary to purchase another pad if you can't get the texture back after cleaning the surface. And I'm just going to run my thumb over it and see if I feel texture, which I do. And make sure it's rinsed thoroughly, get as much off as possible. Under running water is much better. Okay, well, I'm going to clean up the surface here now and look at it and see at what point we are. Okay, at this point, we have a very light hazing of the surface. We definitely have optics being reflected in the surface. So I'm fairly confident that we are ready to move on to the soft buff compound and the Velvet Touch pad.